Good afternoon, everybody. How are you, Joa?
I am really good. How about you guys?
Good, good, good. You know what we don't do? We don't introduce ourselves. Someone tell me that that other people are watching this that they're like, okay, so who are the two of you? So why don't you introduce yourself and then I'll introduce myself and then we'll talk about what the adept agent is and
That
why
sounds
they should join us every week.
that sounds like a good thing. I'll introduce a little bit of both of us at this point, but um, Ernesto and I have been around for quite a while. We don't like to brag about it, but we have, and we've watched all technology come and go. Yes, some of it does go. Um, but we try to stay constantly. That's probably one of the things that keeps us bonded, is that we're always trying to not keep up, but to be ahead, to be the people that use technology different from everybody else. And if you've joined any of our classes, you're going to see some of that happen. So we decided to do this chat, this podcast, so that we can help others keep ahead of the game too. Today we're going to discuss, and I'll let Ernesto introduce himself in a minute. I'm playing with my light here, technology, but I'm fumbling all over the place with this, right? So we were just talking recently about how we feel like we're not keeping up with AI, and I'm sure all of you are feeling the same way. So we decided to do something like this so that we can get people at least their foot in the door to see what it is that they should be doing. Ernesto, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Ernesto Vega. I'm the broker of Canvas Real Estate. I have been in this business for a while, like Joaquin says. And when Joaquin asked me to help him co-host this Adapt Agent series, I jumped on it because Joaquin is one of those professionals who's always looking to improve and improve. And not only improve by himself, he always likes to share what he learns, his tips and tricks with everybody and just like him, we're coffee brothers. We live by the caffeine. So I said definitely, and then he says, well, I want to make this short. I want to make it to the point, and I want to talk about what everybody's not talking about because everybody's talking about the same thing. Let's talk about something different. And I said, yeah, let's go for it. We both have ideas. We both talk throughout the week and throughout the and about different things. And when this topic came up on Monday about AI CMAs and what is an AI CMA, who's using them, are they reliable? So yeah, that's a great topic because every transaction is going to need an appraisal. Every transaction is going to need a CMA when the property gets listed. So the more efficient we are, the better it is. So
I have had the experience that I do a CMA for myself. I use RPR, I use IMAP, I use the MLS is the best place where you can get data. So and one of the things that happens with me at the office that I like to do is I will ask Ernesto for his opinion of something because I already have mine and I want to compare it to his. And then we wait to see when it closes and check and see if we were close or not because sometimes we have different opinions. But I did the same thing with the AI. So I will do my own market analysis. I use everything. I use RPR. I'll use IMAP. But the MLS is where I like to get the best the information that I weight the most in my opinion. So what I've done so far with AI is that I've gotten a property, I do my analysis myself, and then I ask AI to give me their opinion. And I have been surprised to see some very, very similar numbers. But what most surprises me is that it finds the same comps that I used. But I'm going to tell you that I still wouldn't just trust it to throw out and say, here's an address, give me the information. And what I want to allude to here in today and plant in your head is that if you're new, yes, you'll be able to take your AI and say, give me a valuation of this property. And it'll give you something that is probably going to be close, probably something you can use. But I wouldn't bet on it. I would still want to see my own numbers at this point. But what I wanted to separate for you so that you can understand, I'll give you an example where I had somebody approach me. He had 5 commercial units um, in the Aventura area, and he asked me to give him the prices if they were built out, the prices if they were not built out, the rental, the lease amount that he can get for it, and sale prices if he decided to flip them. When I went in there and asked for the data, I first went in and just said, here are the units, give me the prices that I want, and I fed it a prompt that was specific. But as it gave me back information, I kept asking it, are you keeping the comps to west of US 1 and do not give me anything east of US 1? And I started giving it more and more parameters and what kind of buildings it could compare to. And it actually finished where I wanted it to be. But if I had no knowledge of commercial real estate, if I had no knowledge of the area, it would not have been as accurate as I wanted it to be. So I still want everybody who's listening to me here right now to keep learning your neighborhoods, learning trends, learning the properties, because AI is only as good as the person feeding it the question and the data that it wants to use to get the results.
So what I wanted to throw in there is, so a lot of lenders are even now using desktop appraisals, which is a version of AI, right? And AI gets a lot of things right, but AI gets a lot of things wrong. So AI is consistent. AI doesn't get tired. It doesn't get emotional. It doesn't get any bias, right? So it's just data, numbers plus numbers, right? So their price recommendations is brick by brick. They don't have a perfection yet analyzing finishes and stuff like that. So what AI gets wrong all the time is in these algorithms is remodels, deferred maintenance, curb appeal. So those little things you still need your input. Like Joaquin says, the better input you put in, the better. Because that little nuances, for example, noise from a school. If the house backs to a school, an appraiser has to back out the price out of the house because that would affect the value for some buyers. But if all of these AI models out there that are doing these valuations don't put any factor into that. So you got to understand that. If you're next to like a fire station, so AI gets what it gets right. It is brick by brick. If you're comparing bricks by bricks, but when all the things and when comes to doing an evaluation, they're not looking at it. They don't have the human eye yet. So it's great as one of the metrics. If you're doing a CMA for a house, you want to use them as one of the metrics, but you don't want to just go in based on that metric. You still want to compare finishes and all those things that I just mentioned. I don't know, Joe, you want to say anything on that?
Yes, I do. And that's something that when we have veterans and new people, one of the things that you should always learn, and now I'm actually going a little bit backwards, but the appraisal process, there are nuances like condition. If you look at a real appraisal, you're going to see where it says condition good, condition fair, condition excellent, right? And changes in the market as far as sales prices go. If it's an expanding market, growing market, if it's in a slump, you could change the terminology for me, Ernesto, if I'm quoting them wrong. But
No, you're good.
if you ever get an appraisal that you're not happy with, you should be able to go into an appraisal and see those things and how they affected the weight of each property that they used as a comparable. That being said, if you know how to do that, you're going to know how to extract the right information from your AI using the right information when you're asking for your comparison.
Yeah, and it's very funny because me and Joaquin both started in the industry when the MLS still used to be a book, and then the MLS used to be a book that was delivered to offices. And if you want to know how old we were, just by doing that math, you can. But CMAs have gone from manual comps, a piece of paper, to automated CMAs, which was what Altera and then the MLS became, to now what this machine learning, which is what the Zillows and the Redfins are doing. They're not really AI because they're not artificially coming up with anything. They've been learning what sales have going for in certain areas and certain square footage with certain conditions, and they're predicting the pricing that it will be. But it's not truly an AI because it's not. There's no intelligence there. They're just
Correct.
going based on math. The ability is this that these AI models that are coming up now, they're more efficient than these machine learning ones from before. Although the machine learning ones give you the speed, because back in the day when Joel was selling real estate in West Kendall, he had to sit there. It'll take him probably 2 hours to put a CMA together with looking at different printouts and writing things, and I'll deduct $2,500 for this, and I'll add $500 for this, and it was very time consuming, right? It was a very
Yeah.
time consuming task. This new machine learning ones give you the efficiency of time, but if let's talk about Weston, for example. If you're doing a CMA in Weston and you're using any of these models, if you compare Weston Hills with Savannah with the Ridges, those are three different neighborhoods with the three different values. And they're just going to look at a half a mile radius. They're going to look at the volume of sales and they're going to go, "Pa, pa, 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 pa," and that's the price. And then if the property is in Savannah, it's probably going to be cheaper than Weston Hills and the Ridges, but they're not going to know that because that intelligence component doesn't exist yet. They're just program models, right? Joaquin, that's what you call it, program models. They're not
Correct.
really
Well,
intelligence.
it's LLMs, learned language models, right? Or I don't
Isn't that
remember
a,
if that's
isn't that a
what that
band from the
is.
isn't that a band from the 90s? LLM.
That's LMO, LMO, is it?
It's
MLO?
a, it's not, it's not, it sounds like a band from the 90s, but
It
let's save
does.
that for later.
But again, and this is now what they call reverse engineering. Some of you just heard me say that you should know how an appraisal is done. One of the things that AI, especially in this moment, is being used best is to teach you. It'll accelerate your learning curve. So if you sit with it right now and tell it, pretend that you're an appraiser and tell me step by step how you're going to figure out the value of this property and give it a property. And I would pick Coral Gables. I think Coral Gables is one of the most difficult places to get a comp, especially when you're near the golf course, or that whole old Coral Gables area. Um, and it'll tell you what it is exactly that it's looking for, and it'll teach you how an appraiser is looking at a property if you don't already know, and that'll give you the structure that you need to be able to form a request, and also for you to look for property information and form an opinion that's stronger. And I was going to ask you, Ernesto, did you ever do BPOs for the banks back in the late 90s and 2000s?
Yeah, at that time, I was an actual official for Bank of America. So
Okay,
I was actually their BPO. I was the one that attended all of their evictions. It was a
really?
very, very interesting time that actually we can talk about it another day. But yeah, I
Well,
did.
no, I was going to say, do you remember preparing a BPO where you had to take pictures, go get them printed, and then stick them to pieces of paper that you wrote on, and then mail it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
it had to be a date stamp. It had to be printed date stamped photos. So to be
correct.
real, to be
So
considered real. Yeah.
we've watched it all happen. We know how it works. And so AI, what's the final opinion? Should you trust it, Ernesto?
All right. So should I trust it? I swear to God, if you watch my screen, my notes that I wrote for this, it's like you are like reading my screen somehow. So to me, AI is a second or third opinion, not your final price. You are the one, the seller is the one that determines the final price. If you've been to any of my presentations, you know how I always talk to sellers. Hey, come up, when do you want to sell the property? This is the price to sell it at this time. This is the price to sell it at this time. This is the price to sell it at the time. What do you want to sell? Right? That has always been from day one the way that I spoke to sellers. Verify the comps because the comps that you are reviewing are probably, you know, could have a lot of a different effect. Human insight, it's not replaced by machine data yet, and I don't think it
Not at
ever
all.
will. I think with quantum computer, we're far away into the future. By then, we will all be living in the moon, drinking moon juice. So uh, the layer, the data that you get from it is as good as you put in. Check accuracy in the MLS. Believe it or not, and I know this is gonna really gonna freak some people out. Realtors make mistake. If you read the bottom line on the MLS, it says information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. And the MLS is write that in because a lot of MLS information is wrong. So verify the date, conditions, any of that stuff. So you trust but verify. I forgot what that's from, but trust but verify.
Reagan.
And Reagan, trust but verify. Wow, you went back in time.
Yeah.
So educate your clients because your clients are going to come back to you and says, I have a estimate that the estimate says that my house is worth blah, blah. And they're like, well, the problem with the estimate is that it's looking at a pool a mile around, right? And then you mentioned the Gables. If you're a mile from the Gables, you're crossing A Street, so you are into Flagami, you are into
Correct.
Little Gables, you are into little different pockets. You're in South Miami, you're in different neighborhoods that the value is not going to match because the machine doesn't know the difference. They just see bricks and square footage.
Yeah.
So trust but verify. Use it as a third opinion, not as a first or second. Use it as a third opinion. You are the first opinion, and you're gonna give those three opinions to your client. So that's what I had on that, Joel.
That I think that wraps it up. Or we're at the 20-minute mark.
We are 1 minute away. Trrr.
So the final opinion, I agree. Don't trust it yet. Lean on it to get information. If you're in a hurry, that'll help you get started. But I would always do my own search in the MLS first, and then see what they gave you in AI. I hope everybody out there took advantage of the Perplexity offer that I've been telling everybody to get. It's very good.
Yeah. All I wanted to say in closing was that the AI CMAs are fast. They're consistently fast. They're data driven, but they're not perfect, right? The best agents out there right now are using a blend of AI precision with a human perspective. So you're using the AI precision, you're using the speed, but you're still putting your perspective in place. And I think Joaquin has been saying this since I know him, that the future belongs to agents who embrace technology, right? That's where the industry belongs to. From when the MLS went to DOS to then to Windows, those agents that follow along are still here. And the ones that are still the ones that didn't just eventually just fade away. You don't want to fade away. You want to stay relevant. That is it for me. Ernesto Vega coming to you live from the Gables office of Canvas. Joa, thank you for inviting me to do these things with you. I don't know if anybody has any questions in the chat.
I see two. Let's see what's in there. ELO, thank you. It's ELO.
ELO, oh, the band. Oh my God. Okay, so that
NDLP.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Victoria. See you, everybody.
Signing off. Take care, everybody.
Rest of your week.